It's an absolutely critical relationship, Russia with its neighbors. It's central to Russian foreign policy, so central that it may matter more than any other issue in relations with the United States, including strategic arms control or energy security or any of these other things. Obviously, the most dramatic way this part of the world has mattered in U.S.-Russia relations, and indeed Russia's relations with the outside world, is the Georgian War in August. And then related to that, this broader neuralgic question of Russia, Ukraine, Georgia, and Ukraine and Georgia's potential role, relationship to NATO. But then in this context of a kind of competition between Russia and the United States in the post-Soviet space, we see the effects of the decision by Kyrgyzstan, the Central Asian state, to close down the U.S. base in Kyrgyzstan, which is key to the operation in Afghanistan. Oddly, because the Russians have a real stake in seeing the United States and NATO succeed in Afghanistan, but again, to underscore the importance of the area and the significance to, if you will, rivalry with the United States, they allow that to be trumped by the desire to push the United States militarily from a presence in the area. I think it starts with the Russian notion that if Russia is to resume a position as a great power in international politics, it will be because it is the major power in the post-Soviet space. And that's what it brings to international politics, that it's the dominant power in this space. Not that it controls it again as an imperialist power, has control over its real estate, but that its influence is predominant. That means then several things follow. The first is that they want to make sure that there's no other major power that can move in and establish an important, let alone a dominant strategic position, whether it's the United States or down the road China. And that in turn means that the Russians are continually struggling to increase their influence. Increase it economically, increase it by using energy, increase it by providing security in a military sense and against terrorism to these other states within the region. I think in terms of U.S.-Russia relations, Russia and its neighbors, Russia within the post-Soviet space is absolutely central. In fact, we have underappreciated its importance to U.S.-Russia relations and have assumed that it's a kind of tertiary or third area question. But because it is so central to Russia, because we are engaged there and the Russians have all kinds of reservations about U.S. engagement or NATO engagement or even EU engagement in the area, then reverberates back into the relationship. What should the United States do about it? I think we need, first to recognize its centrality, therefore face up to it. It's an uncomfortable issue, it's a difficult issue, it's a source of tension in our relations, but we need to face it. And I would hope that the way we face it is by seeing whether there may not be ways in which we can at least have a constructive dialogue over one another's role and the things that we do in the area. And then secondly, maybe even move us from the kind of competition that we see now into something that looks a little more cooperative. Because logically, there ought to be a basis for U.S.-Russia cooperation in dealing with potential instability within this area and promoting progressive democratic change. Things change now because of the global economic crisis, which is almost certainly going to have a major effect on the way in which Russia conducts policy, the degree to which it's successful in the policy that it conducts within the post-Soviet space, because it is likely to threaten Russia's capacity to apply resources, whether it's in terms of bailout funds or in terms of financing new energy projects or even in mounting some of the counter-terrorist and other security apparatus, military apparatus. It also is going to create problems within the region because these states themselves are very hard hit by the crisis, and that raises the prospect of social unrest, maybe even political instability in the area. So the global financial crisis is a new major factor producing unpredictability.